Hey everyone, it's Josh Andrew here. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Conversations with Josh Andrew. We're all about leadership, having meaningful conversations, and getting just a little bit better every day. If you've enjoyed this episode, please take a moment to like, subscribe, and share this podcast. Your support helps us reach more people and continue bringing your great content. Thanks for listening, and let's keep the conversation going. Let's get into this week's episode. Well, hey everybody, welcome to this week's episode of Conversations. I'm really excited to jump into this week's topic. We're going to be talking about thoughts that I truly believe will challenge your leadership. There's something that I've learned over the last 10 years of my life, really being in this subject of leadership, learning from some of the best leaders in the world, is man, if I just get 1% better each day, or if I hear one quote or one thought that challenges me throughout the day to help me become better, it's worth it. So over the next 30 minutes, I truly believe there's going to be a thought, there's going to be a topic, there's going to be a quote maybe that's going to challenge you, that's going to push you to become a little bit better. And even in this concept of leadership, I think something that happens is we get familiar with this idea of leadership. We get familiar with the topic of leadership. And one of the biggest strategies, I think, towards the negative sides of ourselves is we become familiar with the things that really we should not be familiar with. I should never become familiar with my marriage. I should never become familiar with my friends, with my family, with my jobs, and with church and ministry, because familiarity breeds contempt. And I don't want to be a person who's complacent. I don't want to become a person who's just married to methods or married to principles. But truly, this concept of leadership, I think, bleeds into our lives in every space. So I understand a lot of this audience is people in ministry and entrepreneurs. So I think all these thoughts truly apply to no matter where you are in life. For me, I am in ministry. So a lot of the things that we're going to be talking through are just contextual to me. But again, it can apply to anything in your world. So I'm really jumping into this first concept here. Be impressed and interested, not impressive and interesting. A lot of times you get in bigger circles or the bigger rooms, the conferences, the green rooms even. What I end up seeing anyways is people who are trying to be impressive and interesting. They're always talking about what they got going on, their numbers, their attendance, their leaders they're being built, their followers, their new business idea, rather than just being impressed and interested. Something that I've learned is I want to walk into every single room as a learner, not even a leader. I understand that I am a leader and I'm a person of influence every single space I go into. And I become that when I understand that I'm supposed to be impressed and interested. So every single conversation, every coffee, every one-on-one, man, I'm just impressed by the person I'm talking to. I'm really cherishing our time together. I'm cherishing the conversations we're having rather than just trying to explain myself, just trying to get them to be impressed by me or interested in what I have going on. 99% of the people, truthfully, are just thinking about themselves every single day. When we think about ourselves, we're trying to be impressive and interesting rather than be impressed and interested. Every conversation you go into, every single date night, what would happen in your life if you just became impressed and interested, not impressive and interesting? Second thought here, the better you lead yourself, the better you will lead others. I think this one is as specific and basic as you can get. I cannot lead people in areas that I'm not leading myself in. And again, there are moments in my life that I have gaps and I have weaknesses that somehow God still uses to lead other people. Absolutely. That does not mean, though, in the practical side of things, if I'm great at leading myself, I'm going to be great at leading others. Because it's the same exact thing. If you think about bare bones leadership, is helping people make decisions one way or another. It's influence, nothing more, nothing less. So I got to influence myself. I got to set standards for myself. I got to lead myself. Practically, spiritually, psychologically, mentally, all of them, you got to think about this. If I cannot lead myself, how am I supposed to lead others? And what I don't want you to hear in that, though, is I'm not there, so I can't lead somebody. That's not what I'm saying. You will never arrive. I will never arrive. We'll never make it. We'll never have everything figured out. But there are moments in my life where I understand I need to be the best follower. And because, by the way, the best followers usually are the best leaders. So again, the better you lead yourself, the better you're going to lead others. You got to double down. You got to understand how you're designed and what triggers you and what encourages you and what fills your cup, what depletes your cup. When we get to those parts of our lives, what's going to end up happening is once you're able to lead yourself, now you're at a place where people want to follow you because they see your life and they go, I want to follow that guy. Not because you faked it, but because you truly are leading yourself. So again, I'm going to say it again. The better you lead yourself, the better you will lead others. Number 3, you might be naturally gifted, but no one has ever been naturally great. I'm going to say it again. You might be naturally gifted, but you will not be naturally great. This kind of goes hand in hand with number 2. You have to have a design for your life. You have to roadmap your life. When we roadmap our lives, what we're saying is the vision I have ahead of me is more important than where I've been. You'll never find a leader who is more contemplated on the past than more excited for their future. A leader is always excited for the future. They're always excited to become great. And again, you got to be able to define what that even means. To me, greatness is always attached to people. How much influence, how much change can I curate in people for the better? How can I help them be more confident? How can I help them be achievers of their dreams, their visions? And to me, that's a leader. A leader, again, you might be naturally gifted. You might have a gift of communication. This is just a great example here. You might be a gifted athlete. You might have been gifted. You were born, you were already jumping high, running fast, better everybody in sports. And then something happens when you go from 8th grade to freshman year. Because freshman year is a wake-up call that you're not actually that great. You might have been gifted, but you're not great. Greatness happens in discipline. So the people who were actually disciplined in their craft became great. Greatness happens over time. Giftedness is natural. So again, if you want to be great, you have to be intentional and you have to be disciplined. And discipline is different for everybody, by the way. It's not just wake up at 3 a.m. and go running and do a cold plunge with all that stuff. Again, that's fine if that is the way you were designed. A lot of people everyone is designed differently. Something that we really have to get away from is this concept of individuality can be toxic as well, but this concept of, you think about the Enneagram, there's 8 different numbers. You can't put 4.6 billion people basically in just 8 numbers. What you can do, though, is understand every single human being is different. I recharge differently than you possibly do. So again, if you want to be just gifted, understand that that is the way you're designed. If you want to be great, that's going to take discipline, that's going to take grit, and that's going to take hunger. And again, you got to be able to, you have to define what greatness means to you. If greatness means money, if greatness means influence, if greatness means people's lives being changed, whatever that word means to you, that doesn't happen by default, that happens by design. So you got to be able to design your life. I'm a huge proponent on reverse engineering. Think about the outcome you want. Now, what do you have to do every single day for that outcome to actually come to fruition? So again, you want to be naturally gifted, that's fine, but you're not naturally great. Number 4, if you serve people instead of use people, you will always have great people around you. If you want to have greatness, if you want to be a person, like number 3, if you want to be great, serve people instead of use people. By the way, everybody knows that you're trying to use them. It's not even a factor of discernment or spiritual gifts. It's just basic humanity. It's I know whether you want something for me or from me. Just as much as the people I lead know when in moments I'm trying to use them versus we're actually trying to serve them. Again, we gotta get manipulation out of our heart. We gotta get manipulation out of our minds, our spirits. Most of the time, by the way, leaders in this space, they don't even know they're trying to do it. In my experience anyways, the people who are truly, truly lacking self-awareness, what they're doing is they're trying to manipulate you because you're solving problems that they haven't actually figured out how to do so in their minds. So they're going, oh my gosh, if you leave me, this is going to be a huge problem that I don't know how to solve. And you've been basically manipulated to continue to solve that because they're not a leader in that moment. They're a manipulator. And I don't want to be a manipulator. I don't want to be a manipulator of people. I don't want to be a manipulator of systems. And if you're a Christian, if you're a pastor, if you're leading this, you are going to be held accountable for how you treat people, how you manipulate people, the thoughts you have about people on your team, the thoughts you have about people in your church, and you know that they have a good job. So you're trying to get them out to take them out to dinner, to get them to give more money. And again, there might be contextual stuff here where you go, I have pure motives. I just believe blank. Okay, that's fine. But again, there are two ways to influence humans. You can manipulate them or you can inspire them. An inspiring leader understands the principles of God and understands that we should be obedient to God's word, and then everything else is a byproduct of that. Manipulators lack self-awareness and they're insecure, so they have a fear of something. They have a fear of missing out. They have a fear of finances. They have a poverty mindset. So they're trying to manipulate people to give, or they're trying to manipulate people to be in roles or positions or authority so that they can continue to feed the insecurity or feed the manipulation. And again, titles, authority, all of that stuff in times can be good, can be great through inspiration, through, man, I just believe so much. And again, it all goes back to my motives. What are my motives in this situation? They cannot have manipulation in my heart. There cannot be manipulation in my relationships. I truly don't want anything out of you. I don't want anything for you. I want something from you. That's not healthy, right? No, it's I want something for you, not from you. For example, giving in church. Man, I understand the principles of God. And again, if you're not a Christian, this doesn't apply to you. But if you're a Christian, you got to understand there are principles that God has written in Scripture that it isn't even a negotiation. I don't need to pray about serving. I don't need to pray about encouraging my wife. I don't need to pray about tithing to my church. Because why? There are standards that I just go, God said it, so I'm going to do it. Again, taking that though, that needs to be an inspiration for people. We need to help people be inspired to give. They need to understand why they give. Manipulators don't take time because that's the problem here. They're impatient with the outcome. Don't be impatient with outcomes, guys. Be patient with God's working in people's hearts. You cannot curate outcomes with people because people are not projects. I'm trying to hit home on this, that if you serve people instead of use people, you will always have great people around you. Number 5, if you learn to say no, you are going to trade popularity for respect. Just had a great conversation with a couple days ago about this. Man, your no is always going to be more powerful than your yes. Something that has bled, I think, a little bit too much in leadership is this word availability. Availability is great. I've always been a person who is available, yes, but availability without boundaries is not healthy. And again, if you want popularity and if you want fame, learn to never say no. But if you want respect, if you want influence, if you want authority, when in any of your spaces, learn to say no and stick to your no. This is a great example. Thursday nights, my wife and I have a date night. We have not missed a date night in probably 5 years, which means literally from the moment we started dating to today, there has not been a night on the calendar. It's not just Thursday, it's whatever day works for us, because that's my number one priority in life is, besides God, is my wife. So with that being said, my no has traded popularity for respect in my workplace. You can't call me on Thursday night because I'm not going to answer. My phone's going to be on Do Not Disturb. I'm not even going to know you called me. What that has done is there might be moments where I'm not as popular as I could be because I'm not picking up the phone. I'm not responding to that Instagram comment. But people respect me because they know I love my wife more than them. I just do. I love my wife more than them. And she's pregnant with our baby boy. When he's born, there's going to be boundaries that people know that I have with my boy. It might not make me popular, but people are going to respect me because I love them more than them. You can apply that to anything. I'm going to say no to that alcohol drink, not because of anything else, but because I don't want it and I have principles in my life. Apply that to any context in your life. I'm just giving you a few examples. What you're going to end up having is you might not be popular in the moment, but people are going to respect you for having boundaries. So again, if you learn to say no, you're going to trade popularity for respect. The last two here, if you aren't teaching someone what you do, you're not leading. Everything about leadership is influencing other human beings. It is helping them grow. And by the way, you don't have to have everything figured out. You don't have to have everything detailed or mastered before you start helping people being led. All you got to do is be one step ahead of them. So you literally might have gotten saved last week and somebody got saved this week. Great. That's a perfect example of taking them out to coffee. And hey, I'm just 1 week into this. Here's what I've learned. Man, their mind's going to be blown because you're 1 week ahead of them. You're one step ahead of them. Just as much as anything in our context, I'm always teaching somebody not just the basis of what I'm doing, but why I'm doing it, why we are so intentional, why we care about excellence. In those moments, what you're going to end up having is people are going to learn how you think. And if you can teach people how you think and how you got to the conclusions you're bringing out, because most of the time as leaders, we just talk about the outcome. We just talk about the result. We don't actually explain the process of how we got there. If we can explain the process of how we got there, you're going to get people that think like a leader, think like themselves, think how they've been designed, and that it applies to their context because they can look through the lens of leadership, not through the lens of followership. I don't want you to be a follower. I want you to be a leader. And a leader is somebody who is constantly teaching somebody what you are doing. You're bringing people along the journey. Do the Jesus way. Jesus never did. The only thing he did in isolation was praying to God. Only moments. And by the way, that was teaching people because they were observing him doing that. So his disciples were observing the one thing that he did in isolation. So even in that principle, he still had people learning how to do something. He's the greatest leader of all time. We can learn a ton from him, even if you're not a Christian. So again, if you aren't teaching somebody what you do, you're not leading. Leaders are always replacing themselves. I'm constantly thinking about how can I replace myself? And not because I need to get away from something, not because I think that it is better for me to not do something, or I don't want to do something, or my time is more valuable than other people's. But what I'm doing is I'm helping people go to their next level. Every single time, somebody's next level is always attached to a person. It's always attached to a relationship. It's always attached to learning a new thought. So again, if you aren't teaching someone what to do or what you are doing, you are not leading. Last couple thoughts here. Like we just said, if you aren't teaching somebody what you are doing, you are not leading. Next one, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Something that I've learned in my years of leadership, especially in the church, is we think a lot about speed. We think a lot about how fast can we get to 2 services? How fast can we get to this amount of volunteers or this amount of giving or this amount of... You insert any number or any thought that you want to, whatever applies to your context. Do we never really talk about how far we want to go, right? Like how far do we want this thing to go? How many years do we want to dominate in this space? Or how far do we want to go rather than how fast we want to go? Again, you can do it potentially fast. You're just going to be alone. And again, and leadership is not about being alone. Leadership is about involving as many people as possible. So if we want to go far, we need to go together. And going together looks like unity. Going together looks like alignment on what the actual mission and vision is. And in my experience, the people who just want to go fast actually don't even know what they're trying to accomplish. Or they don't actually know how to build leaders, so they're just trying to go fast so they can get numbers, they can acquire things. In the meantime, they don't know who they are. They don't know what their organization is trying to do or trying to achieve. Very much so, just like in business. I've been in the business space longer than I've been leading in church. And what I found is a lot of CEOs or a lot of business managers, they really don't even know the buck truly does stop with them. So they're trying to acquire things, they're trying to do things, and the reality is it's for them. It's not even for their organization or for the people that are around them. So If you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, build a team. Last two here. Don't expect people to take greater risks than you. Leaders are in the front. Always kills me when we have standards or we have ideas or we have principles or we have position descriptions that have things that you're not even doing. So you're asking people to do things that you're not willing to do. And again, that doesn't last forever, right? But again, people will follow you because of the practical side of what you do. And yes, who you are, but you are who you are because you have a pattern of something. I will never follow potential. I follow patterns. Just as much as you should not date potential, you should date patterns. So again, don't expect people to take greater risks than you. This isn't their business. This isn't their thing. This isn't their thing that they're willing to die for. And again, there are things, especially in the church, where we understand that we all have to sacrifice. We all have to put our portion in. But you as the leader, you bet your you-know-what, that if you're not in the front lines, nobody will ever follow you. And nobody will ever sacrifice more than you. And to be honest, I don't think it should be that way. Because as leaders, we go first. We are in the front. We are the front lines. We are not the general in the back coordinating what people do. We are leaders in the front lines, being with people and integrating people. Something I just heard this thought yesterday, and it truly challenges me, and I hope it challenges you as well. Something that I've seen in 2024, especially in ministry, is a lot of times we're doing things or we're making decisions off of our peers. So the pastor in the other state that we're trying to impress, our pastor who we're trying to impress, the conference we're trying to speak at, rather than the neighborhood or the city that we're actually trying to serve. You got to be a leader. You got to be a pastor who is actually in the front lines with people. Can't happen in the green room. Can't happen when you're traveling 6 days out of the week. And that's fine if that's what you're called to do. But I promise you, you're not going to have influence and you definitely don't have respect. So again, don't expect people to take greater risks than you. Leaders go first. We're leaders, we go first. Last thought here. Great leaders don't have followers. They build leaders. There should be more sending than hoarding. If you want to be a leader and if you want to actually have incredible leaders around you, you have to be willing and secure enough to let them lead. Leaders don't need permission to lead. I'm a leader. When I walk in the room, I see things. I'm going to speak to things. I'm going to help I'm going to pull greatness out of every person that I'm around. I don't need permission to do that. That's my design. I'm designed to do that. So for you to push against a design, just as much as anything else, right? A lion does not need permission to be a lion. A duck does not need permission to be a duck. That is their design. You as a human being, you are designed to be a leader. So if I'm a leader and I can't actually have the security in my life to have other leaders around me, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hoard the insecure people and I'm going to push away the secure people, the confident leaders, and I'm going to blame something about them. I'm going to blame a security trait. I'm going to blame a trait, a personality trait, a leadership thing that, that's just not who we are. No, it potentially is who we are. You're just not secure enough to be able to have them around you. So like I said, if you want to be great, you need to build followers, build leaders. And again, by the way, a leader, your goal is not to acquire more followers. Your goal is not to build more influence. Your goal is not to build more things around you. That is not a leader. That might be a manager, that might be an influencer, but that's not a leader. A leader builds leaders. A leader replicates themselves, reproduces themselves in other people. You know you are an actual leader when you can turn around and you have leaders around you that can think for themselves, that can make decisions on themselves, that don't need you to be there for them to execute at a high level. That is somebody that I would go, that's a leader. That is a person who is leading leaders who lead leaders. So again, it's all about multiplication, not addition. So I'm going to run through these 9 quick thoughts here. I truly, truly believe in you, and I believe that if you apply even one of these, you'll become a better leader immediately. Be impressed and interested, not impressive and interesting. The better you lead yourself, the better you will lead others. You might be naturally gifted, but nobody's naturally great. If you serve people instead of use people, you will always have great people around you. If you learn to say no, you will trade popularity for respect. If you aren't teaching somebody what you do, you're not leading. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Don't expect people to take greater risks than you. Leaders are in the front. Great leaders don't have followers. They build leaders. Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode. Again, we're trying to get a little bit better. We're trying to help facilitate conversations for human beings to listen, to grow in every single area of our lives. We'll see you next week.